Hello Internet, I am the Hero of Julios, once again with another Digimon video. This week I decided instead of opening packs, I would actually talk about my inner thoughts of Digimon. So this is Agumon that I got for Christmas, and on that note, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's to anyone watching this the day it comes out. But I wanted to talk about my deck build. This is my Agumon deck, hence the Agumon plush, and basically just my thoughts on how and why I chose the cards I did. This doesn't have Agumon Bond of Bravery in it. It doesn't have Tai, the one from uh, Double Diamond, but those are cards I've thought about. But without further ado, let's get into the actual cards itself. So for my eggs, I chose 4 of the BT5 Koromon, just because this deck lacks a little in the draw power department. I used to run Air of Dragons for draw, but the Koromons make up the difference. Your 5th egg can really be anything. I chose Koromon just to keep with the theme. This is the starter deck Koromon that gives an extra 1000 DP when this Digimon has 4 or more Digivolution cards. But you can really pick anything because your main goal is to use this Koromon. So starting with our rookies, we obviously have Agumons. We have 4 of the BT5 Agumon, 4 of the BT1 Agumon, 2 of the box topper promo Agumons, and then 2 of the starter deck Agumons. So the main 2 Agumons you're going to be using in this deck are the BT1 Agumon that searches for Tamers, and the BT5 Agumon that searches for Greymons and Omnimons. When you start the match, your ideal is to hard play the Tamer searching Agumons if you don't have a Tamer in your hand already, and then the Greymon searching Agumons for obviously if you don't have a Greymon or an Omnimon in your hand. So hopefully in an ideal scenario you start with both of them, that way you can choose which one you need based on your needs, but for the most part these are the ones you're going to be hard playing, while these 2 Agumons are going to be the ones that you're using for digivolving in your raising area because their inherited effects power up the rest of your future Digimon. So obviously for the Greymons, I chose 4 of the BT5 Greymon and then 4 of the starter deck Greymon. Then I have 2 of the box topper promo Greymons, and unfortunately there is no blocker Greymon, so we'll be using Monochromon for this deck. So aside from the Monochromon being an obvious just need blockers in my deck kind of thing, the reason why the promo Greymons, I only have 2 of them, is that they're basically just a luck of the draw, kind of like a niche thing, where if you're fortunate enough to have them and the promo Agumon, you have a 7000 DP Greymon charging in for 2 security checks. It's a great way to catch your opponent off guard really early in the match, or that extra little push you need later on. Combine this with the Tamers that I have, and you can get the ball rolling pretty fast on your Greymons with a little extra security, a little extra memory, and it all sort of boils down nicely together. And obviously, the starter deck Greymon, that is just a great inherited effect. It's a security attack +1. That's kind of really all you need it for. You don't even need it for the 4000 DP. Finally, the BT5 Greymon, the reason we're using that is because I am running Nokia in this deck. And with only 1 Nokia, you can digivolve from Agumon into Greymon for free. This works great with the Agumons that you hard played using either Nokia's effect or using just to hard play them straight from your hand to get their on play effects. For ultimate level, I am running 4 of the starter deck Metal Greymons. I have the alternate art from the Tamer events, but you just use the regular ones from the starter deck. And I am running Metal Greymon Alterous mode from BT5. And then finally, I am running 1 single copy of the secret rare BT1 Metal Greymon. The reason I'm only running 1 copy of him is the drawback of losing 5 memory just to attack isn't really worthwhile, even if it is for an extra 2 security checks, 3 if you include the Greymon that he digivolves from. So maybe running 2 might be in your favor, but I would definitely just recommend personally running 1 because you're only going to use his swing maybe once or twice if you're going in for a final kill. At that point, memory doesn't even matter. But the main reason we're using this particular Metal Greymon, the one from the starter deck, is because of our immense number of security checks, thanks to our Mega level Digimon, our opponents are going to want to block us. However, this Metal Greymon's inherited effect gives us 3 memory if our Digimon gets blocked. So your opponent has to choose either between giving us 3 more memory or, taking multiple security checks out. So forcing your opponent into that kind of decision is kind of the main reason for this Metal Greymon. The Alterous mode is there strictly because you can delete a 4K Digimon or less, plus its inherited effect is very powerful considering I am running Blitz Greymon and War Greymon, and then Omnimon, obviously. So the main goal is to Digivolve actually 2 Alterous modes on top of your Metal Greymon, and I'll get to that when I talk about the Mega level Digimon. For our Mega level Digimon, our level 6s, we're going to be using Blitz Greymon from BT3. I really like this one because it does the D-Digivolve 2, which isn't really something we have in Red, except for in rare cases like this one, and he's got Piercing. So while he's not as powerful as War Greymon in terms of security checks, he is very powerful in terms of D-Digivolving something that swung and then piercing through it himself. Our main squeeze, though, is 3 copies of War Greymon. We get an additional security check for every 2 Digivolution cards under this. So, if you've got Koromon, Agumon, Greymon, Metal Greymon, and then 2 Metal Greymon Alterous mode, that is 6 cards underneath. That is 3 additional security checks. If you use the starter deck Greymon, that is 4 security checks. You can wipe your opponent's entire board, well, their entire security stack, in a single blow. What's great about this is with the 2 Metal Greymon Alterous modes, we're also getting an additional 4,000 DP, kicking him up to 16,000 DP, making him, well, unstoppable, except for things like Gaiaforce or Cocytus Breath, the usual stuff that throws your Digimon out. Sadly, the weakness to running Red is we put all of our eggs in one basket. An option card I would recommend as an alternative to the ones I'm currently using is probably a Delicate Plan, which obviously stops your opponent's option cards from functioning. But I don't run it because this is a very high risk, high reward deck. Finally, our last card, and this is the one that does the final blow, it is the Omnimon from BT5. We are running 3 copies. I have 2 alternate arts for him, so I'm just going to show this one in particular. But this guy has Blitz, and when Digivolving, he unsuspends. So the goal of this deck is to take War Greymon, wipe the entire board, or the entire security stack, and then use Blitz Omnimon for a game. Not really much else to say about him. He's got a great effect where if he got deleted or returned to hand, I can use War Greymon to, prevent that from happening. But for the most part, you're going to be using this Omnimon to finish the game, not to strike your opponent. For Tamers, we're going to be running Nokia and Marcus. Marcus is our memory tamer, and he gains us a memory when our Greymons attack. This is the reason I chose him over Tai, because the Tai is great for an extra security check, but for the most part, we're going to be using Marcus as often as we can to swing with our Greymons. Plus, I guess, you don't find yourself swinging with 4, inherited Digimon as often as you think you do. Personally, I think Red could use a few more Tamers. I think we're getting one more, not in the next booster pack, but in the one after it. But it's Takuya, and he only works with hybrid Digimon, so it's not really an all-around Red memory tamer, so... But, hey, that's neither here nor there. We got our Greymon guy, and that's exactly what Marcus is for. Nokia is all about value. So I'm going to skip ahead a little and say that I have 2 copies of Trident Revolver, and the biggest combo in this deck is playing Trident Revolver, which will then let us play Nokia, which will then let us play an Agumon, getting us 12 memory worth of, cards for only 6 memory. Granted, this does give your opponent 6 memory, or however much memory you've managed to finagle. Overall, though, it's a great combo, and Nokia reduces the cost. Combine her with the Greymon I mentioned earlier, and you can Digivolve for free. I used to run 4, but it clogged up the deck too much. 3 seems to be the sweet spot for both her and Marcus. Both of them appear when I need them, and they disappear just as, they don't clog up my deck. I just went over Trident Revolver because of the combo, but our last option card is, well, Gaiaforce. What red deck doesn't run Gaiaforce? I run 3 copies, same reason I run 3 copies of Marcus and Nokia. 2 seems too few, and 4 seems like it clogs up my deck too much. And there you have it. This is my deck. The deck list will hover on the screen for a little bit in front of me just to allow you to take a full look at the deck. But this is a pretty good deck. It sees a lot of victory. It actually won my locals a total of 1 time. But let me know in the comments if you think there's anything that could improve this deck. I'm thinking Delicate Plan as an alternate option card to maybe like one of my Gaiaforce or even one of my Trident Revolvers. As far as Greymons go, I know we're getting a lot of new stuff in the Classic Collection Booster Pack, which should be coming out sometime next week. And that might change up this entire deck. Who knows? I think the War Greymon in that booster pack actually has Blitz, so this may change by 2 weeks from now. But for now, this is my deck, and, I'm glad I got to share it with you guys. Have a Happy New Year. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.